Hello, I'm James Devonshire from The Manufacturer, and I am here live on the show floor at Smart Manufacturing Week, Day 2. I'm joined by Sam Byrnes, who is Enterprise Solutions Architect at SafetyCulture. Welcome, Sam.
Thank you, James. Good to be here.
Could you just give us, obviously we know your name, could you just give us a little bit about your role and a bit about SafetyCulture, please?
Yeah, so I'm an enterprise solutions architect here at SafetyCulture. So I've spent about 18 years in manufacturing, supporting frontline transformational journeys for manufacturing companies, around 70 different factories in 14 countries. And partnered with SafetyCulture. Obviously, we're a frontline transformational connected worker platform. It's just my role is to really help customers have an end-to-end solution on how to implement and transform their front lines digitally.
85% of the world's factories have implemented CI programs, yet just 20% are considered sustainable and successful. As someone with experience in this sector, why do you think that is?
We've seen some evidence and some reports, but definitely from my personal experience, I think CI is very siloed. People try to outsource it internally to a CI manager or a CI department, and it's sort of seen as additive, not sort of core to the operations. I think a lack of real-time data flowing from the shop floor is a big one as well. All of these programs, TPM, Lean Six Sigma, IWS, all of them back in the day were developed around unlocking the potential of frontline workers, but we did forget that somewhere along the line, and all of that data is on pen and paper on the front lines, and we don't get to see any of that. And I think that that's probably the biggest driver of it. It's a failure to engage the frontline workforce, because that's really where the transformation happens at the coalface, and people try to often manage it by dashboards in offices, and that's really not going to work out.
We work in an industry that is known for being highly regulated, and compliance is cited highly on most site agendas. Surely that drives improvement, doesn't it?
Compliance programs are quite similar to continuous improvement programs, because when you think about what compliance is at the end of the day, it's simply best practice. It's a list of tasks and activities that if you do them, and you do them every day, you get better results. It's just that those better results happen to be not hurting people that work in your business, your customers, or the people in the environments in which you operate. So because of that, it's mandatory. The government's not going to leave it up to your discretion whether you do it or not. Whereas continuous improvement programs, it's highly discretionary. But they both suffer from the same sort of challenges. They're both similar programs, and both of them still rely on pen and paper-based processes, which isn't very rigorous, and it's open for failure all over the place. And so we do see similar types of results in those programs than we do in CI programs.
Yeah. What do you believe has been the impact of CI programs like Six Sigma, TQM, etc., on improving manufacturing?
Well, I mean, we know the success stories, right? We know Toyota, we know Procter & Gamble, we know Motorola back in the day, but we don't seem to have too many of these success stories from the last 20 years. They're all stories from 40, 50 years ago. And I think, we definitely have seen success in pockets, that 20% figure you called out earlier, but overwhelmingly, we haven't sort of kept up with technology, particularly on the front lines, that's really allowed people to leverage and maximize these programs. And as you get a more increasingly digitally savvy workforce coming through, they're not responding in the way they have in the past to paper-based processes.
Can you talk to us about technology investment in modern smart factories, and specifically around its impact on frontline workers, please?
Well, that's really it. It's the follow-on from the previous thing. We got to a point, particularly in the late 80s and 90s, where with globalization and the automation revolution, we took the focus away from empowering the frontline workers with technology and with processes to focusing on replacing them with technology. Everyone thought by the early 2000s no one would be in any factories. But in 2025, we have 500 million manufacturing workers, 80% of them exist on the front line, yet less than 1% of technology spend goes to enabling frontline workers. It's fascinating, and I think that you can see the proof is in the pudding with the results that we're getting. So we focus on digitally transforming front lines, and we've seen massive results far and above anything that we've seen on paper processes.
Okay, great. And finally, how much impact do you think AI is having and will have on the future of the front line, and why?
It's definitely everywhere. Everyone's talking about it, and it's certainly going to help workers do their best work. But we take the view that just like autopilot has been in airliners for many, many years, there's always going to be pilots on deck, and there's always going to be people that you need to enable with technology. So putting that focus on using AI to enable and help people do a much better job is definitely the focus. And I think the replacing workers with AI is going to happen more in the offices, far more than the front lines. You're definitely going to need people to still turn up and run the machines.
Yeah, okay. Brilliant. Sam, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Cheers. Thanks so much.